Hi Women's March community, this is Dina Nur Satti. I am a ceramic artist from Brooklyn, originally from Sudan and Somalia, and today I want to talk to you about another side of my practice, which exists at the intersection of art and spirituality, and how I believe these two things are foundational to creating societies and communities that really care for the well-being of their people. So why is it that we need wellness in this moment more than ever? So our society, the way that it's evolved, when you study cultural anthropology and see the values and belief systems of societies becoming translated in cultures as they evolve, our belief is in the empirical thought. So this is everything that exists in the 3D world. So this piece of ceramic exists because we can see it, and it doesn't have any value beyond its physical form. But when you look at indigenous belief systems and the way that they interact with space and the world and with objects, there's an understanding that there is a value beyond the physical. And the physical usually is a means to transcend into the ethereal and the intangible. And self-care and wellness really is dealing with energies and feelings and emotions and frequencies that you're not able to see on a daily basis. And so on an individual level and on a communal level, our Western society has not evolved tools and technologies to be able to take care of its people in an intangible way. So to me, the beauty of art and the beauty of art in community is that it becomes a vehicle to experiencing the intangible. So we can think of synesthesia, the cross-wiring of senses. So when we see a form, it makes us feel something. So this is the physical through the eyes, translating into the emotional, the feeling, and the sensory. In that same way, you can also listen to a piece of music and that makes you feel something. And so this is why when we go into the indigenous way of seeing art, is that art is this vehicle to creating this cross-wiring of senses and creating feelings of ecstasy through that. And so to me, art as a community bonding tool really goes back to that. It's understanding the value of art, music, dance, food, adornment, objects, the things that really are at the foundation of culture, not as their physical value, but really understanding what the deeper esoteric value is of these things. And so when we start using these pieces and this art to create environments and community rituals through music, through dance, through food, through all the things that I listed, they create spaces where people can feel catharsis, where people can have communal experiences of ecstasy and really transcend into another realm together. And through that catharsis, there is a feeling of being held in your emotional process, and wellness being not something that's really left to you, but to really for a community to create together. And so wellness nowadays, because we're looking at it through the lens of capitalism and individualism, is really focused on the how do I heal myself, how do I overcome my challenges, how do I have ritual practices. But for me, there is no wellness without communal wellness. So it's really important to start to think of how do we create spaces where people can come together and find community. So I really believe that art is the umbilical cord of a community, and it is no coincidence that in this time, in this society, there's so many people feeling really lonely, feeling like there's a lack of community, because the seat of the artists and art as a vehicle for healing has completely been taken away. And we've built a society that does not support the artistic process. It does not support spirituality as an empowering individual and communal practice. And to reclaim that space, I think there has been a movement of artists wanting to rediscover what it means to find purpose and spiritual purpose and really communal individual purpose through art. And I'll talk to you about how I've been able to find that. I think the number one thing is research. When we start becoming curious about something, sometimes we just turn it down as being frivolous or, a waste of time. But usually most realizations really come about and epiphanies come about from continuous curiosity. So it's about following that first little thread of curiosity, that subject that you've been wanting to research, that book that you've been wanting to read, that workshop that you've been wanting to take. So curiosity for me is the number one thing. I stumbled upon ceramics not because I knew I wanted to explore ceramics particularly, but because I was on this continuous quest to just try a lot of different things. And a lot of the time, those little steps in your path, those little things that you're learning, lead you to the thing that might become the vehicle through which you express your art, yourself, and find your purpose. So a great place to start if you're looking to understand how your own practice, if you already have one, is connected to spirituality, and if you don't, that's also okay. You can also just start researching to kind of understand what it means to have a spiritual practice that's connected to art, and that might inspire you on your journey of finding your artistic expression. If you have an indigenous lineage that you're aware of, or multiple that you're aware of, and if they happen to have the practice that you're interested in, even if they don't, there's a lot that you can take on from it, because I believe that the spiritual connection and relationship with art really transcends art forms. It's something that you can create for yourself, no matter what your art practice is. And there's a theory of multiple discovery in cultural anthropology that says that societies that had no contact that we know of ended up having a lot of the same belief systems and a lot of the same societal rituals. So a lot of that has to do with, I believe that there is an animist indigenous systems. There is just a connection to nature, and nature across the world has an esoteric patterning that's very similar. And the way that people are relating to it really kind of puts forth very similar patterns of spiritual systems and cosmologies and rituals. An example of this actually is there's been some research done connecting Navajo practices to some West African pottery practices, and they found that both traditions have priests that bless both the potter and the clay. They have, when they're making tools for pottery, particular rituals where they do sacrifices and offerings. And so you can start to think about, what does it mean for you to apply some of these ideas? For me personally, it's about creating bookends to my practice. So it's starting the day with burning incense. It's starting the day, if you don't associate yourself with a particular cultural tradition and you don't have incense that you feel really comfortable burning, it could be just getting a cup of tea and or lighting a candle. This is a great way to just start something that isn't connected to a particular lineage, and just having a small practice. Maybe it's journaling, having a small practice that just says, this is from this point everything that I'm doing is of intention and is sacred. So in terms of resources, if you're looking to connect with the community, if you're looking for classes, if you don't live in a major city where these things are accessible, we are in a time when these things are very abundant online, luckily, and are more and more accessible to different people. And so you can do some research to look for scholarships. A lot of virtual classes that I'm coming across these days have scholarships for people who are unable to afford some of these workshops. Also, if you're looking to actually connect physically to communities, a really great place to start is concerts, music studios, dance studios. Usually these are spaces where communities and artists congregate, and this is how I was able to connect to my community of artists here in New York. So I really encourage you to, you can access communities most of the time through music and dance. So this is a really great gateway if you're looking for a community of your own locally. Thank you so much, Women's March, for having me. If you have any questions at all, you can just DM me at Nur Ceramics. I'm there to answer any questions. If you have additional questions about resources, I'm more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much.